Yeah, guys, these guys are getting ready to come into turn 13. See this green area right here, right in front of you? If they blow this turn, they can stop right there on this area off to the right. And if they do that right in this area right here, folks, they won't get a penalty. But if they don't stop, they'll get penalized. Here we go.
Ready. You ready?
Be ready.
Ready. Ready.
Get ready. Race 23 is green. Down into turn number 1. Is everybody going to give everybody room?
Clean so far. You see the lightning in the background.
Yeah. The sparks are flying on the track, and the sparks are flying off in the distance.
Right now, these drivers are going to run these things pretty hard for about 5 laps. The drivers tell me they're going to start cooling the brakes after that. Just kind of setting into a pace right now. But you see Scott Pruitt just jumping out in the lead with Max Pappas right on his bumper right now.
Marcus Ambrose in 3rd with the 59, and then Patrick Carpentier in 4th. Jacques Villeneuve is 5th. There's Ron Hornaday as he's having some action with Joey Logano.
Well, Ron Hornaday is action. I think that's his middle name. So he's going to want to get up there as quick as he can to be aggressive and get going.
Jason Leffler and Mike Wallace having a little duel going into that corner. Leffler gets the best of it. That's Brad Coleman in the 27.
These guys are exiting a turn right now, heading down to the hairpin of turn 10. This is where they talked about setting up some passages right now to single file at the moment.
As you see Hornaday breaking low on Joey Logano. Gotten a good run, and Coleman's following.
Yeah, Coleman's going to try and follow in the second car through. Will it work? No. Hornaday made it. Logano didn't. And already Pruitt's trying to open up some distance over 2nd and 3rd.
About 165 miles per hour down this long back straightaway into turn 13 here in Montreal.
That's one thing we saw in qualifying. The top speeds were not that much different between the Toyotas, the Fords, and the Chevys, Randy.
No, not at all. You know, there's I think there's 6 Toyotas in the field, and 5 of them were in the top 15 in qualifying. So they are starting very good. These guys can see the clouds just like we can. And they're like, man, I'd rather race this thing as quick as possible.
Take a look at Leffler and Joey Logano. Logano's got the preferred line through turn 2.
Guys, one of the key things they need to do here today is keep the front fenders on these cars. If they get a little too aggressive, tear up those leading edges of those front fenders, these cars don't have enough downforce to handle real good. So these drivers are very cautious of their front fenders, and they're watching the brakes right now like we talked earlier.
Boy, Mike Wallace is getting shuffled.
When do you ever see a driver be cautious?
Boy, never. But yeah, they have to do it here, though, Randy. They know the circumstance they're up against. Oh, Mike gets turned around just a little bit, turned sideways.
Yeah, Justin Marks got into him just enough to get him crossed up enough, but look at the ding on the 38 as he comes through. He's got a dent on the front hood, Jason Leffler, as he has picked up a couple of spots now.
Drivers enter in turn 8. This is another key place they can pass at. Talked about the other day. Very, very important corner for them.
And take a look at the battle for 2nd in turn 10. We're hearing there's a chance of sprinkles down there already, and Marcus Ambrose takes the position away from Max Pappas. There is also action a little bit further back with involving Ron Hornaday.
You see Patrick Carpentier trying to get that nose out in Max Pappas to try to pass him. Max has got to keep that inside lane to ward off that pass.
Down into turns 13 and 14, on board with Carpentier.
This might give us a headache if we stay up there too long on that one.
Coming across the start-finish line as we complete another lap. We have 72 to go. We're working lap 3. Max Pappas right in front of the 9 of Patrick Carpentier. And it's Pruitt, Ambrose, Pappas, Carpentier, Villeneuve. That's your top. And there's Brad Coleman trying to hold off the 33 now of a hard-charging Ron Hornaday.
Hornaday's got about 2 or 3 sections coming up right now where we can set up a pass on Brad Coleman. Getting into turn 6 and again getting into turn 8. We'll see what happens here. He's been all over the bumper of Coleman. This is turn 6 right now they're coming at. Doesn't look like he's got enough on him right now to get it done.
All right, as we let this field go through, we're holding for the 66 of Stephen Wallace. Remember, he started in the back of the field. He has already picked up 14 positions up to 26. So the 5-hour energy has gotten a blast of energy and trying to fight his way back front.
No, he's doing good right now, but when he needs to manage those brakes, I see the brake rotors on that car just a little bit red right now, although I would say most of the competitors are having that same condition at the moment.
Well, Rusty, I mean, he's learned from you, and I'm not sure you ever conserved a whole lot when you were driving.
No, I haven't conserved a lot, that's for sure. But this track, they all tell us, Randy, that got to watch the brakes. You can't drive the car as hard as it really wants to go.
Take a look as we got some action turning underneath. That's DJ Kennington going under Landon Castle in the 4. That's Mike Bliss getting passed by the 66 of Stephen Wallace. And also here comes Clint Boyer in the 99 as Jason Keller is the victim there as Boyer gets around him. But Rudeman not able to get it done. Remember, the points championship is very much in play here because Boyer not known for his road course racing, as is Brad Keselowski. And Carl Edwards is saying, I'm hoping to pick up a bundle of points today.
Yes, he is. And, you know, he's the most aggressive out of the bunch right now of the double duty guys.
We can tell you right now that Edwards is running 14th. He is the best of the top 3. Boyer is 25th. Keselowski is now 30th. So take a look. After 3 laps, you've got Pruitt out in front of Ambrose and Max Papis in 3rd. And then you've got the 2 Quebec residents as the rain tires are coming out. The crews are getting ready. Will we have history today at Montreal? Stay with us. Here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec, the rain continues to threaten, but the biggest threat right now to everybody else is that man right there, Scott Pruitt. He has about a second lead over Marcus Ambrose. They have checked out on 3rd place Max Papis. He is another 4.3 seconds behind. Let's get an update on the weather situation. Pit lane, Jack Root.
Well, fellas, it is beginning to spit here on pit road, and they are big drops. And that's one of the reasons why you're not seeing anybody pit as early as we anticipated. Why bother when they feel that rain is coming, and there will be that NASCAR caution. If the rain does come, as we said before, they're going to get 3 minutes to make the changeover to rain tires and to windshield wipers. So right now, everybody's riding on the edge just a little bit. It's beginning to rain everywhere, and umbrellas are coming out.
Yeah, they're popping up faster than dandelions in my yard.
Okay, this is where these drivers need to be careful right now. They're on slick tires. It's starting to rain. The rain's coming from the hairpin turn, blowing down towards turn 1 and 2 in that direction. Same direction these cars are going right now. So, man, this is a tough time because the umbrellas are out. Drivers are probably screaming to their crew chiefs what's going on.
And we talked about the fact that lap 6, if you believed that you could go 34 laps, that would open up your window to make it in 2 stops. But as we so aptly pointed out from pit lane with Jack, nobody's going to come in right now because you don't know when NASCAR could throw the yellow.
There's a lot of these guys that are also using these race cars up. We see these rotors early on here just glowing red.
Let's take a look at Jacques Villeneuve as he comes down through, and we'll get a good shot of his tires and take a look at his brakes.
Get another shot here. Yeah, take a look at that solid red. Folks, we're only 6 laps into the race, and these drivers have got very, very hot brakes already. Caution's out.
A full course yellow has flown here on lap number 7. And the rain is falling. And now the question becomes, do we make history in the NASCAR Nationwide Series?
And we could make history today because this is the perfect scenario. Not real hard rain, but rain here in Montreal. And I tell you what, there's not many drivers out there, guys, that got experience racing in the rain.
You know what? These ringers that are in the group, they all have raced in the rain. And I'm sure Marcus has too. So this might just take these ringers farther away than from the other guys.
Yeah, it could be a 7-car race, basically, and then everybody else could be just a matter of survival. Let's go back to Japan, to Suzuka, because remember the exhibition where you, Randy, and you, Rusty, were both involved.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I went to Suzuka that day and qualified in the rain, and we were slipping and sliding all over the place, and there's Dale Earnhardt Sr. off course, bouncing around through the track, but got back on, did a pretty good job, but it took us a while to figure out how to race in the rain.
Well, what happens is, what we see is you follow the tracks in front of you, and if the guy in front of you went off, hey, you were going to go off.
Well, and this was Watkins Glen, where this was a practice session. It ended up not being run in the rain, but those are the 2 times when the rain tires have been broken out, and you can see the raindrops falling a lot heavier now. And we're waiting for word from NASCAR officials as to what the next step will be here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Marty, they got the windshield wipers. They got all the stuff they need. But the biggest problem these guys are going to have is fogging the inside of the car up. There's a lot of humidity, and it gets to where the windshield, Randy, gets so fogged up you can't even drive the car. You can't see.
You almost need a defogger.
I don't really think there's many NASCAR guys, nationwide teams, that are really prepared big time for rain here.
For more, let's check in with Jack Arute.
Well, let's answer Rusty Wallace's question first. Rusty, you're talking about the fog in the inside. What they do is they add the anti-fog on the inside of the windshield. They add it on the outside of the windshield. They also, most of the drivers started with some cloth stuffed underneath the seat so they can wash away some of that condensation when it comes in. But I want to show you these rain tires. Now, these aren't untried or untested as you saw in the video. According to Goodyear and according to what the teams have been told, this is the heavy rain tire that Goodyear once used in road racing. You know, they have a medium and they have a lightweight and they have a heavy, and this was for heavier cars. But as we said at the beginning, we're about to see history made, because never in actual race conditions have they been used. And a lot of the teams, one of the other things that they did in preparation for this rain, what about radio communication? Well, they've got spare radios and they've wrapped them in plastic, so if the condensation in the rain, as you see, starts to get really bad, I may lose my RF equipment, but most likely the drivers won't.
Well, I can remember back to Sebring one year where the fog was so bad in the BMWs. Hans Stuck, they gave him one of those squeegees with a big long handle on it. He'd shift, reach down, grab the squeegee, clean the window, shift, grab the squeegee, clean the window. But that was Hans Stuck, and he was a rain master. Right now, we have had no windshield wipers obviously mounted at this time, so as NASCAR said, they would give them a period of time where they would be able to mount the tires and the windshield wipers. Let's get more from pit lane. Mike Massaro.
And Marty, certainly not everybody wants to see these rain tires used, but Brad Parrott, Mike, your driver has a ton of experience in the rain. How does this affect your chances?
Scott, he does a great job with everything during the rain. You know, the Grand Am races and everything he does. You know, it's all about rain in those Grand Am races. And Timmy Keene told me that I had the best driver out here for sure in the rain. But I can't thank this Fastenal crew enough for everything they've done with this race car. Thank Brian Patty back at home for giving me this race car, this same car that Pruitt ran at Mexico last year. And just can't thank everybody at the shop and the motor department especially. We got some horsepower this weekend.
What is NASCAR telling you about the procedure right now?
Procedure is, you know, I think we'll red flag it here the next lap. When we get everybody has a set of rain tires up on the wall. They'll bring us to the pits. We have 3 minutes to put our windshield wiper on, hook our defogger up, make sure our brake lights are working and everything in the rear window, and then we'll put them back in line and we'll go racing again. This is new to everybody, you know. I know NASCAR racing's fun and everything, but, you know, we got a lot of equipment, you know, pit guns and everything that's never performed in the rain, like the Grand Am cars and the Indy cars and everything. So really don't know, you know, how our equipment's going to perform for sure. So everybody at Fastenal and everybody involved in this race team has been awesome.
Well, Vince, this may be new for everyone, but it seems to be more new for some than others.
With Gary Cogswell, he's the crew chief for Marcus Ambrose, and right now he's giving instructions to his crew in regards to what each crew member will do during this pit stop that's going to include changing the tires. You see Cogswell, everybody trying, as Brad Parrott said, to keep their equipment dry as well. They're going to pull the rubbers out of the rear springs as he's given there, and we're going to give Gary Cogswell a moment. We'll come back and get to him.
Yeah, he looks like he's quite busy. Although, okay. There you see. Let's go back down to you, Vince. It looks like he's done.
All right, Gary, I know a lot of communication on the radio. What can you do beyond putting on the rain tires and the windshield wiper?
We can make a lot of adjustments as long as we don't jack the car up. You know, basically your car to run fast on a dry track is way too stiff to run on a wet track. So we're trying to we're trying to do what we can do without dialing ourselves right out of contention for later in the race at the same time. So it's a bit of a guessing game, a bit of a gamble on what's going to happen, what the weather is going to be like in another hour. But we're going to go down our road, and hopefully it'll pay off for us in the end. Mark's done a great job. Thanks to STP, Ford, Tad, and Jody Geschecter. Great race team.
There you go, guys. That's what you can do for now. We'll see. A lot of questions yet to be answered.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. As you can see, it is very, very wet out on the racetrack right now. And in fact, we had a report that one of the cars managed to slide off. And we've got several cameras down right now because of lightning in their proximity. And we obviously also have to take into consideration safety.
You know, we talked about racing in the rain, Marty, but you know, if the rain is pretty light, I believe these guys will be fine. But if the rain is real hard, I don't believe NASCAR continue at the moment, because if you get big standing water on the racetrack, even the rain tires won't handle that. It'd be a tough deal.
And we do have what happens when you have slicks when it starts to get wet. That's 61 of Stan Barrett right there going around. No harm though. Yeah, a little bit. Oh, that poor guardrail. And then take a look here. Well, are we going to do this again? Yep, guess so.
He must just think he's stunt driving all over again.
Yeah, Stan, a famous stunt driver.
Rusty, I mean, we did this at Pocono one year. Remember rain during Pocono? We ran around about 15 laps under the rain. Bobby Allison got crashed.
All right, well, they are bringing the cars into pit lane. You see the red flag being held at pit in. So we're going to stop things here and wait for everybody, as we heard, to get the rain tires mounted and ready. And as they pull into pit lane, we're only at lap 8 of 74 here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It is Scott Pruitt in first, Marcus Ambrose second, Max Papis third, Patrick Carpentier fourth, and Jacques Villeneuve rounding out your top 5. Take a look at the Dodge pace car. The lights are off. If you follow our series, you know what that means. The crowd understands as they are coming to their feet. They know that history is about to be made in the NASCAR Nationwide Series as they are heading down towards turn 13 and 14, and then onto the front straightaway. And the
buddy, I'm
treacherous
telling you
turn
what,
1.
I'm in this booth and I'm putting my crash helmet on right now. I'm pulling my belts down because this is going to get wicked out there. There's no doubt about that.
All right, folks, this is a moment that will live for a long time. You only get to write history one page at a time. As they say in Canada, it is time to all skate. We're going green.
4 back.
Ambrose is looking inside. And he's got the position.
You know he wants those 5 points for leading the lap.
And you can see how easy they're going around the racetrack right now. These drivers need to find out how much these tires will take in these wet conditions.
Everybody tiptoeing. Ambrose in front of Scott Pruitt.
So next time by, we'll be able to see how much slower these cars really are. You see them kicking their rear end out just a little bit. The drivers know they can get wheel spin anytime they want it.
Heading down towards turn 6 and 7. This was treacherous in the dry. What's it going to be like in the wet?
It's a really tight corner. A lot of guys ended up in the grass right off to your left right there in practice. In fact, they're all getting through there right now. But look how slow they're going at the moment, guys. Just really tiptoeing through there.
Ron Fellows got around the 32 of Jacques Villeneuve. Take a look. Here comes the 33 of Ron Hornaday. Hornaday ahead of Leffler and Joey Logano. And Leffler has come right back. Battle back up front. There you see Carpentier.
Experienced guys. Ron Fellows right behind him. But they're all chasing the Tasmanian Devil.
And he is opening up some distance. Remember, he won 2 championships down in Australia in the V8 Supercar Series. There comes Jacques Villeneuve as he is trying to get around Fellows, and does. So he retakes the position. And listen to the Quebecers. They love it.
Well, you see the rear cars just lighting the tires up right. You see Max Papis looking on the inside as Scott Pruitt right now. And the view, I'm sure that these drivers are seeing is just nothing but fog and rain. Look how hard it is to see out there right now, guys.
When you get a look at the windshield wiper on the 59, it's lifting off of the windscreen under braking. When he was into the braking, take a look there as the 64 is trying to make a move. Max Pappas on the 40 of Scott Pruitt. Can't get it done.
Well, we see a couple of them miss the course actually right there. They're going to have to come to a stop or come down pit road. NASCAR will mandate that.
The first 7 cars, they all had to come to a dead stop.
We'll have to wait to see if they actually made the stop. And it looks like Pruitt has also gone off course down into turn number 1.
If you get in a little too deep, guys, you get sideways. The only thing you can do is just drive the car straight. And it's not raining right now, so this track should start drying out a little bit. And the speeds that get faster and faster. They qualified at a 102 second bracket. Right now they're 133, so almost 30 seconds off the pace right now.
And I'm sure driving that car right in there, it feels like 2 days different.
Yeah, they're exactly 30 seconds slower than what they qualified, so we'll see these speeds pick up as it goes on.
A lot of wheel spin there. As you see, that's Carl Edwards in front of about a 4-car freight train. Greg Biffle.
See some left front fender damage on the 10 car, looks like. It's tore up pretty good already.
Word from NASCAR is everybody did come to the stop that needed to. You saw Pruitt give up the position to the 64, so no penalties will be imposed. Racing continues. That's Scott Wimmer. Meanwhile, look at Marcus Ambrose. 27 victories he had in his 2 championship seasons down in Australia.
Marty, take a look how these drivers are driving offline. You saw Max Pappas come into turn 10 real high. See Jacques Villeneuve, Ron Fellows doing the same thing on entry. Really tiptoeing along. They're not right on the bottom of the racetrack. They're trying to run these cars out of the normal racing groove to get better grip.
I'm sure they're just searching because they have no clue what's going to happen. So, okay, we've seen IndyCar guys, we've seen Formula One guys. They say these tires need water. So let's try it in the water. Let's try it out of the water and see which one is better.
All right, let's go back a moment ago when Scott Pruitt took it off going down into turn number 1.
He just started to lose the back of the car and held on to it and drove it straight, Marty. That was a proper thing to do rather than spin the car. He's got to be careful coming on right here.
And then he allowed the 64 to go on by. Here's what happened to Mike Wallace. Same area. I'm good. I'm good. Take a look at the battle for 4th place. A couple of Canadians going after each other. And listen to the fans from Quebec.
It's just amazing how slow they look like they're going. They're still beating and banging fenders. They're rubbing against each other. Just no grip out there. But these guys are doing a fantastic job under these conditions.
We're working lap 16 of 74 in a historic day for NASCAR. That is the battle for 5th. The Quebec fans cheering for the 32 of Jacques Villeneuve, and the rest of Canada is cheering for the 5 of Ron Fellows.
Absolutely.
Tell you what, Marcus Ambrose and Max Pappas, they are gone. I talked to Pappas at dinner last night, and he said, man, I said, what are you going to do if it rains? He said, hey, bring it on. I love it. I feel like that's an opportunity for me. I've raced in the rain a lot, and I understand it, so see how that works out. I think a lot of these drivers that race in the rain regularly see this as an opportunity.
Well, the big question coming up next will be what happens when the race leaders catch up to the slower cars.
It'll be a while. It'll be, it'll be probably about 10 laps, I do believe.
You see how wet the track still is, guys. A lot of water coming off the rocker panels, although they have run 1 second faster that last time by. 132 flat for Ambrose. Still, that's about 29 seconds slower than what they qualified.
If we would have did an over-under, I think we both would have, all of us would have been off because we would have thought there would have been a caution already.
And these two have been going back at it lap after lap. Fellows and Jacques Villeneuve, they just can't, nobody can pull away.
And we get word Clint Boyer has gone off course, so he gets it back under control. Looks like no heavy damage, although there looks like to be some mud up underneath. But he has survived.
He's a series point leader. And you know those guys are telling him in the ear, don't do that.
Boyer right now running in the 18th position.
Well, guys, one thing you do know for sure, the fuel mileage is going to be much better right now. They're not in the gas much at all. So look at Boyer, held it straight, bounced through there, dug the track up a little bit, little mud.
I mean, Rusty, you did that in the pace car, didn't you? I was riding with you.
Well, a little bit, but nothing like that.
Here comes the battle for 5th again. Fellows, Jacques Villeneuve. Villeneuve in front right now. Fellows keeps it clean. Could have taken him out there. Doesn't do it.
One thing, I'm looking at all the brake rotors in the cars, and there is no red nowhere. They're
not even pink.
There's no heat right now to them, and it's great for the brakes because these things were on fire before the rain happened. I mean, we're only 4 laps in the race. These brake rotors were solid red. Mike, what do you got in the 32?
And just moments ago, Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief for Jacques Villeneuve, coming over the radio, trying to coach him a little bit, telling him to be conservative, reminding him it's still a very long race. As we mentioned throughout the course of this show, you need to conserve your equipment, especially the brakes, and Hillman is very concerned about that right now.
Well, it'll be interesting to see as they have now closed up a little bit on Patrick Carpentier. So that is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Or I should say 4th. 5th and 6th, let me correct that.
Last year at the end of the race in technical expressions, I went down and I looked at a lot of the guys' brakes. The top 5 guys, they had a lot of brakes left. So I think that they're a little bit overconscious about saving their equipment.
Tell you what, though, the speeds have not picked up much at all, guys. We talked about the track drying out. They're still running 132 and 133 second flat laps and not fast at all.
Well, while all this continues, the battle has sort of slowed. Meanwhile, up front, Marcus Ambrose is pulled out to a 4.3 second lead over Max Pappas. Does Ambrose get sweet revenge for what happened last year at Montreal?
Back at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series is in lap 19 of 74, and that car, the 59 of Marcus Ambrose, is the runaway leader at this point. And I'm with his crew chief, Gary Cogswell, and what's interesting is that during that yellow after the red, Marcus just kept talking about how he had no grip on those rain tires. What happened?
Well, I don't know. We really didn't think our setup was really going to be very good in the rain on wet pavement, but we were really happy with it on the dry. We opted to not change it a lot for the wet weather, and it's surprisingly good compared to what our expectations were. The track's going to dry out again. We'll probably run dry. It might rain again. We'll probably run wet. It's kind of like a big mystery here. Somebody's going to guess right and they're going to win the race. I just hope it's me. But anyway, hey, I got a couple of kids at home having birthdays today. Want to make sure I say hi to you, Zach and Steven. See you tomorrow.
There you go, Marty, or Mike. Yeah, Marty.
Hey, it's one of us. Don't worry about it. And if Dad wins, kids, there'll be a big birthday party. Take a look as Marcus continues to lead by 4.3 seconds. And we talked to him about road racing. He says, there's no real secret to it.
There's no secret to road racing. Anyone will tell you it's about compromise. You give up a little bit of high-speed corner to make your slow speed better. It's about giving up a bit of traction to make your brakes better. So really just an all-round compromise.
And of course, last year he led 37 of what ended up being a 75-lap event, and it was leading with 3 to go when, of course, we had the infamous Robbie Gordon incident that took both of them basically to the barn.
Tell you what, that track is drying up pretty good right now, guys.
One of the cars that has been on the move, Stephen Wallace. We're going to try and find him out on the racetrack right now because he has moved up 25 spots from the start of the race and has been, there he is, coming through turns 13. He's got Jason Leffler right in front of him. And a few laps ago, these guys were beating and banging on each other and having a good old time of it. In fact, let's go back and take you to the view. Here's what happened.
You see Steven trying to stop the car. Look at the rear wheels completely stopped, using Jason Leffler as something to stop. And Leffler did a pretty good job not, hitting the back with anger. But now they're racing off that corner. Steven saying, go ahead, I'm sorry, waving his hand. Look at that. Get your hand back in the wheel, boy.
Yeah, stop waving, drive.
He's worried about getting Leffler mad at him, but now he's passed him back again. They're going at it again.
Take a look.
I wonder if Leffler's brake light wasn't bright enough. That's why he running the backup.
Well, I don't think so. I think these guys are just all trying their guts out to do what they can. There is some good give and take going on out there.
Stevens now up 26, and Boyer up 11 spots. Let's get more from Mike Massaro.
Hey, Marty, I was just happened to be on the pit box with Harold Holly, his crew chief, when all that happened in the chicane, and, you know, certainly they were a little bit concerned, but I spoke with Harold about that, and he said, you know what? He's going to be able to rebound. He showed me his speeds and said he's every bit as fast as everybody up front. We definitely have a top 10 car, so the hope's still very high in the 66 camp.
Well, the lap times are starting to get a little bit better at the lead, down to 126 seconds now for Marcus Ambrose. That's just a little over 2 minutes, 6 seconds. Uh-oh, car slowing on the track in the back there. Didn't catch the number.
I think that might have been Justin Marks in the 10 car.
Take a look at Scott Wimmer come up on the inside there. And Justin Marks got some damage on the left side. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it back to the pit here or not, guys. He's going awful slow.
Well, no full course caution yet waved by NASCAR, as he is well out of the race line, but you're right, there is heavy damage on the left front of the number 10 of Justin Marks. Take a look a little bit further back up in the field. The battle continues with Jacques Villeneuve in front of Ron Fellows. That's a battle for 5th. Of course, when you're on the road course, your feet are busy, your hands are busy, shifting gears. Jack?
Yeah, Marty, we talk about doing the OJT, the on-the-job training here and learning what to do. Guys like Scott Wimmer, Brad Keselowski, what they're doing and what they've been experimenting with is changing their shifting pattern. So a third gear turn now has become a fourth gear turn. A second gear turn has become a third gear turn. Caution is out, and so far, it's worked for some of these drivers.
Well, and that's because of Justin Marks. He cannot make it back. In fact, now he's totally off course down at the hairpin at the far end. So they'll have to send a wrecker out and pull Justin in.
Marty, Jack was telling us about the different gear ratios now. It's almost like giving yourself your own traction control. You know, you got a lot more power to spin the rear tires in second gear and you do third gear. So it looks like these guys are lugging the engines a little bit to keep the tire spin to a minimum. Kind of like driving snow.
So the big loser in all this is Marcus Ambrose. He had a 4.8 second lead that just evaporated because of the full course caution. You see the 7 of Mike Wallace. You say, wait a minute, why is he back there? He was running much further up. Mike had a drive-through penalty. He was running 25th at the time. So he was assessed the penalty for cutting a corner and not coming to a complete stop. Looks like the 52 will be the car that ends up getting the lucky dog. Be Scott Gaylord as he makes his way around, so he'll get back on the lead lap.
It really looks like turn 1 and 2 is drying up quite nicely. I don't see any rain out there right now, and the lap times picked up almost 10 seconds a little while ago. So, Randy, it's drying out quite a bit for these guys, but it's still really wet all through the S's, down into turn 6 and 7, down through 8 and 9. But everywhere else is looking a lot better.
Yeah, the first 1, 2, 3 turns are looking really good, but after that, it's still plenty wet. And I think these tires, this is a work in progress. And Goodyear's going to want to look at these tires and see the wear on them, as the crew chiefs are. And I think we'll be in good shape.
Guys, I think we should send out some congratulations to all the drivers. I fully expected to see a lot more cars going off into the Tulies. And like I said, an all-skate session instead of what we ended up seeing. I mean, they've done well.
I totally agree with you. I'm the one that said they're going to have a caution right in the first corner. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
They minded their P's and Q's. They did a good job, kept these things on course, and hey, it's been a pretty good race in the rain right now.
And you got to remember, we're working lap 22 of 74. If we are lucky enough to go back to dry, then they have done exactly what they needed to do. Kept their cars clean and get into position to compete again.
These guys are definitely professionals. And, you know, last time us three were in the booth, they had the guy who led the most laps was a pace car driver.
That you're referring to Memphis last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 24 hours of Memphis.
You know, when you go on the backside of this racetrack, guys, there's trees on the right, trees on the left. It's very narrow. And it looks like they can't even hardly get much wind through that area to help dry this course. I believe that's the big reason it's so much wetter there, Marty, than it is everywhere else.
Just got word from NASCAR. No slicks as of now. If you come to pit lane, you must stay on the rain tires. So we'll find out what happens and who will be the takers and who will be those that stay out. Remember, we had the red flag situation and then 3 caution laps.
I'm not sure I would want slicks out there. I mean, there's still a lot of water on this racetrack.
These cars can run about 30 laps on fuel. They
they
put fuel in at lap 10, I believe.
Right. So they've run about 12 laps under green flag conditions. So you're right. I mean, there's still an opportunity. But what's left on the tread? If it's drying out on the track, you know, you may have to bring them in and put a fresh set of rain tires on. And the word we're hearing from pit lane is some cars are ready with a second set, but the others are not.
They're good. You're still mounting rain tires like crazy down there, and sure whatever happened, NASCAR do it equal for everybody.
And we should explain what happens to these wet tires when it does dry out, because they do chew up faster.
Absolutely. We heard the compound is a lot softer for rain tires than a regular slick because they need a little bit of grip. But once the track gets warm, it just tears these things up. You think these things were back in Indy last week.
Yeah, this will let them cool off a little bit. I don't know if it's going to give them any more life or not, but cool them down a little bit. These tires are pretty soft, and if they're soft, well, actually, does the rubber just actually peel off the top layer of the tire? It almost looks like a shredder just pulling the rubber off. Nothing like last week at Indianapolis, might I add, but it'll kind of rough up the top of the tire.
All right, let's reset it for you right now before they head for pit lane. It's Ambrose, Pappas, Pruitt, Carpentier, Villeneuve. That's your top 5, followed by Fellows, Andrew Ranger. That's right, Ranger is shown right now in the 7th position, and that is a big move for him. He won the race earlier today here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Carl Edwards up to 8th, Greg Biffle 9th, Boris Said in 10th.
I'll tell you one guy that we haven't talked a lot about is Andrew Ranger. New name we don't hear about, but boy, I watched him today. This guy's flying around this racetrack in this race they had this morning, the NASCAR Canadian Tour.
Well, and the one guy that does sort of surprise me is Carl Edwards. He's up into the 8th spot, not known as a road course racer, but doing extremely well. And right now, doing exactly what he said to us in the pre-race show. Wanted to take advantage, hopefully, and pick up a lot of points on both Clint Boyer and Brad Keselowski.
Exactly right. And his teammate, Greg Biffle's right behind him. And one thing you guys do need to remember, Jack Roush is one of the smartest guys in the rain. I've seen Roush make some great calls. 24 Hours of Daytona, stuff like that. Understands that rain.
So far, none of the lead cars is coming in except the 5 car, and that is Ron Fellows. So he is the only one in the top 10 to come down pit lane. There comes the 33 of Ron Hornaday as well. Hornaday was 12th on the racetrack, so they're going to give up some track position. We'll find out how that affects them when we come back. Don't forget to tune in to ESPN2 tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. for NASCAR Now. And then it's the Sprint Cup Series at Pocono tomorrow at 1 Eastern. That's over on ESPN. Then NASCAR Now returns to wrap up the weekend events, 10 Eastern, and Monday at 5 o'clock right here on ESPN2. As we continue under our caution here, our third of the day, a couple of cars did take advantage and pit. Let's take a look at our Holiday Inn race summary so far, as it is our first race in history in the NASCAR Nationwide Series to run on rain tires. And let's talk a little bit, as we've had 2 leaders in this event so far, 1 lead change, and we still have 30 cars on the lead lap. 8 laps under caution. Now, we had 3 cars that came in during this caution. Let's check with Jack Arute on the 29 of Scott Wimmer.
And when they came in, they changed all 4 of the Goodyear tires. And, of course, everybody wanted to go over here and take a look at them. Let's take a look. You can see they're not too bad, guys. In fact, they radioed right away to their teammate Clint Boyer that the tires looked excellent. But it is important to be able to put new rain tires on when you get an opportunity. And why did Scott Wimmer come in? Well, because he saw some of the front runners pit early, Marty.
Well, only 3 cars came in, and at first, I got to be honest, I thought it was going to be a bad move, because if it dried out, NASCAR calls them all in, mandates a change to slicks, those guys lose track position. Now we have rain here on the front straightaway as we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. They may end up being geniuses.
You know what? That's one thing I never did in my career. These guys are coming back to green.
Green flag, green flag. Go, you can switch.
Boy, Marcus is good on the restarts. Pappas right there with him, though.
Might have been too good in turn 1 right there.
Well, you see those cars still moving around a lot, so it's plenty wet out there. Like you said, Marty, it's raining in the front straightaway again right now. Umbrellas are out. Really happy to see how good those tires look. They weren't tore up at all. They looked almost brand new, those rain tires did. So there is enough wetness out there to keep them cool.
Action further back, and you can see that looked like Hornaday getting around the 11. Yes, he did, as he picks up a spot. Remember, he has fresher tires, a full load of fuel. And take a look at Marcus Ambrose picking up right where he left off, and that is pulling away from the field.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence. His car feels real good, and you know, it's all about having rhythm, throttle control, like I talked earlier. And boy, Marcus is he's just loving this rain right now. I didn't know he was that good a driver in the rain, but he's showing us today.
You know, last year here, he just totally impressed me with his ability. And then once you go back and look up what he's done in his career, he's just phenomenal on road courses. That's his forte. And, you know, I mean, he's just hoping that his crew chief's making the right calls. These guys that pitted, the crew chiefs made the call, and they're like, okay, are we right or are we wrong? Who knows?
Or said in front of Greg Biffle there and Joey Logano. Logano getting a real education here in his first ever rain race, in his first ever road course race in the NASCAR Nationwide Series.
Well, he's showing a lot of patience, Marty. He's doing a great job out there, Logano is, and he's a smart kid. We know that by how he's run this year for Joe Gibbs Racing, and holding a pretty wheel, I call it, not being too aggressive at all.
Logano in 10th right now, and you can see the action a little bit further back as, boy, the 33 is on the move. You see Hornaday already working his way back up through the field. Remember, he was one of the 3 cars that did stop.
The 27 car, Brad Coleman's got a lot of damage on the left front fender. Must have got into somebody somewhere. Hey, look at Clint Boyer back there, right behind Stephen Wallace. He's really come through this field quite a bit, up to 13th position right now. That's our points leader.
And has never seen this track before qualifying today.
I wonder if they have this in video games in the rain.
Why don't you go down and ask him right now?
Yeah.
See what the answer would be.
Ready to win. Did you practice this on your computer game?
Well, there's Steven in the 66 as he had a little excursion with Leffler earlier, and there's Leffler right in front of him. Now let's take a look at the battle for third, as it is getting very interesting. There is Scott Pruitt right in front of Patrick Carpentier, and then Jacques Villeneuve and Andrew Ranger.
You talk about how much better these guys got. It's still raining out there, and the track is awful wet still. But they went to green when we started this race at a minute 33. They're down to 1:26 second laps right now, so picked up a lot of confidence out there, almost 7 seconds faster, and the track's still wet.
Boy, how about this run by Andrew Ranger? Last car in your shot right there, the 22. Wins the race earlier today in the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series. And as you can see, the rain's starting to come down even a little bit harder. And right now, he is doing exceptionally well as he has put this car into 6th place, guys.
A lot of talent. I've never heard of the guy in my life. He's gave me a big education today. This PR guy come up to us earlier and tell us a little bit about him, and a lot of experience in Champ Cars, evidently, when Champ Cars ran, and got some experience there.
Well, you see the race leader pulling off in the distance there on the left side of your screen. We're trying to check in on the number 5 of Ron Fellows. Now, remember, he was one of those cars that pitted. There he goes. Fellows right now in 18th position, but he has laps in hand and fresher rain tires. Mike, what's the strategy unfolding for them?
Well, we're going to lean in and try to find out with Cam Strader. Cam, you were one of the few takers on pit road. Why make that call?
Well, with the rain out right now, we're getting such better fuel mileage. That put us in our window for their next pit stop. We were also having some radio issues, and that gave us a chance to fix that problem. I think hopefully if the rain keeps up, that'll be the right call, so we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, Marty, as we witness that pit stop, you'll notice they stayed a little bit longer. They wanted to make sure they packed that fuel cell as full as it could be.
I think Cam is dead right. If it continues to rain, those cars that pitted, it's going to be a big benefit for them when everybody else has to come in. They've got about 12 laps in hand over everybody else.
There's been a lot of guys that have won races due to the crew chief's call, that's for sure. And it sure does make the driver's job easier when they make the right calls. And at the end of the race, you're like, what position are we in? The Navy car's getting ready to eat them up.
You know, Cam's exactly right. They are getting a lot better fuel mileage because the cars are running almost 22 seconds slower around the racetrack. And look how hard it's raining, guys. You can actually see the rain in our cameras coming down pretty hard right now.
Yeah, Fellows just got around Clint Boyer, so that was for position. Moved Fellows up to 15th, Boyer back to 16th. And he is right behind Ron Hornaday, another of the cars that did make a pit stop during our last caution. And he gets around Hornaday easily. So the 5 making it look very easy here as the rain comes down even harder. That's Stephen Wallace in the 5-hour Energy, the Great Clips Toyota. Then Boris said, and there is the number 5, man on a mission.
Tell you what, these guys make me nervous just watching, because I'm like, man, they pick the throttle up just a little too much, and they get them sideways, and then they get past, and they've got to just drive like there's an egg under the throttle. And these two right here, Stephen Wallace and Jason Leffler, they're like magnets. They can't get away from each other.
It's like they've been joined at the hip.
I think I just say, does somebody go ahead? Somebody pass somebody here.
They need to go north-south magnets and get away from each other.
And there goes Fellows taking a look underneath and gets around the 24. So Simo gets passed by Fellows, and now he's got to figure out how to get around the two guys that can't seem to get away from each other.
Okay, this is where the crew chief's got to get involved and say, calm down, guys. It's a lot of laps to go yet.
Last time they did this down the main straightaway, they both had to come to a stop because they both missed turn 14.
Well, it could happen again. Let's see what happens here.
Tell when they hit on hard on the brakes, the front end just no. And look at Leffler, he's loose. They gonna make it? Barely.
I tell you what.
Look at Simo and Clint Boyer back there.
Brad Keselowski back there with Scott Wimmer sliding around too.
Well, and Keselowski knows that's Boyer, the points leader, right in front of him. He says, man, I got to get around him. I got to score some points.
Now remember, turn 13 and 14, that is a real tight corner. The cars were going at that corner at 165 miles per hour.
You know what? If I was a crew chief right now for the 66, go to 30, I would say, hey, follow that 5 car, tire track him, learn from him. That's for sure.
Well, he managed to get around Leffler, and now he's making quick work of Stephen Wallace.
Yeah, and this is a great guy to follow for a youngster like Stephen Wallace. Oh, don't hit him. Don't hit him.
That was close. You already see the nose damage on the front of the 66. That was earlier with Jason Leffler. And look at the rain on the backside of this racetrack, still pouring.
And you know, Marty, when you drive a certain speed, when the tracks start driving out, you run a certain way, but when it gets wetter, these guys got to tell themselves, slow down. I can't keep doing what I've been doing, and that's hard for these guys.
Well, it looks like it has settled down for a moment, at least in that part of the racetrack, as Ron Fellows has moved ahead of those two guys, and Fellows now up to 11th. Meanwhile, Marcus Ambrose in front of Pappas by 4 seconds. Can you say deja vu all over again? Let's flash back to Mexico earlier in the year. That's the 59 of Marcus Ambrose getting into Boris Said. And Boris did not take kindly to it because he felt like Marcus didn't give him any chance there. He just kept plowing on through and drove right over him. And after it was all said and done, the words were exchanged. You could see how furious Boris was. In our pre-race show, just in case you weren't with us, he said, "Oh, that's in the past, but I'm not going to send him a Christmas card." Well, he's going to have to get airmail to get it to him because Marcus Ambrose has checked out on this field by 8 seconds over Max Pappas, and Boris Said is 23 seconds behind in 7th.
Yeah, Marcus Ambrose is giving these guys a whooping. There's no doubt about that. He knows how to drive in this rain, and like I said earlier, I had no idea that, guys, he was just good on this track under these conditions. I mean, man.
His team's going to want to run the rain every week.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let it rain, man. Let's go for it.
Let's take a look at the 29 of Scott Wimmer. He's currently running in 16th, and Jason Leffler has dropped back to the 17th position. He had a few issues a couple of laps ago while we were in break. Let's go back and show you what happened to Jason in the Great Clips Toyota.
He's already missed a turn, but he says, I'm coming back.
And he comes back right in the line there, but Hornaday and Boyer were both able to get around him, and so has Scott Wimmer, and now Brad Keselowski gets around him. So Leffler is starting to go back, and here we go with a battle for 3rd on the racetrack as Jacques Villeneuve is closing on Scott Pruitt, our pole sitter.
guys all know their limits right now, guys. They can tell. They know exactly how far to take these cars. Seems to wiggle around just a little bit, but that's a pretty gutsy move right there.
Listen to the crowd. They'll be cheering for Villeneuve going into one. They may be wet, but they are happy. Standing in the turn 1 and 2 section as their man has just taken over the position and moved into third.
Guys, one thing I've noticed, we just had a shot of the 32 car, the sway bar. He has unhooked the sway bars in the front and the back of the car. Pappas is off course now.
Pappas is off into the barrier.
Caution.
And a full course caution has come out here as we are working lap 30 of 74. Pappas was running second.
And he is stuck in the mud right now. Can't get out of that grass. He's pinned against that wall.
You can see the tire marks right here at the lower of the screen. Just went right in.
Yeah. Just slid right off. And the problem is he's going to get pulled out. He'll go a lap down because of that.
So Max, who started second last year, started second this year, is up against the tire barrier here on lap 30, bringing out our third caution.
You know he's just sitting in that car right now, just beating his head on the wall.
And for the second time in a row, the 52 of Scott Gaylord is getting the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He's having a bonus day. He gets it twice.
And if Pappas can get pulled out of that mud, that's what he's got to hope for, is a lucky dog to get himself back on track right now. I know he's just got to be killing himself by what happened. Really upset.
Just push me, boys. Come on,
just give me a push, guys. Push me. That's what he's probably saying.
That guy brings him a lunch. That was nice of him.
Still trying to figure out if he can get that car fired.
The guys are just standing away from the car. I saw the car run a little while ago. You'd have thought that he asked them just to push him a little bit, but nothing's happening there.
You can see his arm up in the back window. He's like, come on, guys, just give me a push.
Yeah, pretty mysterious. I don't know what's going on down there right now.
He's Italian and the other guy's a Canadian. They can't understand him.
Well, that could be.
Well, again, Marcus Ambrose loses an over 8-second lead this time, as now you see in second place is Jacques Villeneuve. There is Scott Pruitt, Patrick Carpentier, and then Andrew Ranger. And since the leaders are not coming towards pit lane, in fact, they're going to have to go all the way around again as they've already passed pit in. We'll take this opportunity to step aside for a break here at Montreal, where history has been made. We are running in the rain in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and it looks like the 64 is going on the hook. All right, we're under our third caution here at Montreal, and we've just had a bit of a chuckle at the expense of Carl Edwards. Take a look. Carl is fine right now, but this was Carl trying to do his impersonation of the window cleaner at your service station.
It's like a floor mop, doesn't it?
Well, he can't get it turned over.
Carl, turn it over, get it down there. He's trying to get a different grip. Vince, what's he got to say about that?
You know, actually, that was made for him in case the windows started fogging up on the inside. He could actually use it to clear off the windows on the inside should they be fogging, and I think he's just getting a little creative. You know what? I think Carl Edwards just has too much fun when he's out there on the racetrack. That's what it's all about. Remember at the beginning in the pre-race interview, he said, I hope it rains just to see what would happen. Well, he got his wish, right?
Yeah, they got these things called windshield wipers.
He doesn't have one.
Okay.
And he might make Sports Center with this. Look at this from the onboard.
I think he will be on Sports Center.
This has got to be a top 10 play. Come on. I mean, you're driving and you're cleaning your windshield at the same time.
I'm not sure he's allowed to do that.
Well, Joey Logano's doing the same thing behind him. I mean,
all right, let's bring you the best news for Carl Edwards fans, because he has moved ahead of Brad Keselowski in the points if the race stays in station as it is right now. Take a look, and you would see that Carl, running in 7th, would move ahead of Brad. Also some action down at the bottom of the field as Marcus Ambrose would move into the top 10 if he can hold on for this win.
Very close to Jason in 9th, too, so that's one thing. The better you do, the more points you get.
All right, so Carl's done cleaning the windshield, and we've advocated that goes to Sports Center for tonight. When we come back, hopefully we'll be ready to go green flag racing again at Montreal. We're still under our third caution here as the cars are heading towards the hairpin, as we saw all the events that were going on with the 64, and since then Max Papis shredded the left front tire. There was damage to the left front as they got the car restarted, and Max finds himself back in 30th position now, and there he is.
Looks like he got the fenders all pulled off, and it's missing part of the fender. The crew's trying to get the thing pound out a little bit, but he'll be able to get back on the racetrack, that's for sure. And I don't know how important these aerodynamics are going to be, Randy, with as slow as they're going out there.
This is true, and see if the toe's right, but if that tire just come apart from a piece of metal sticking in it, you know, this thing wants to get back on the racetrack and pick up points. This car's still in the points.
Oh, yeah, it's still in the points. And David Stremley normally drives this car, but this was a planned thing with Max to run the road course. That's the reason David's not in the car. He'll be back in the car from Michigan and the rest of the year.
And we'll be right up front with you. We do not have it on replay, so we don't know exactly how Max ended up into the tire barrier. There is the team car with the 66, and Stephen Wallace is right now shown in 11th position. He has moved up 29 positions since the start of this race. So we eavesdropped on the radio and checked in to see what was going on with the 66.
When I say talk to me, I mean you guys got to talk, because I swear to God my windshield's covered in mud. I ain't trying to yell at you, guys just weren't talking to me at all. Once the windshield's wet, it's fine, dude. But when I go back to green, when the shit's, you know, all like muddy, then I'm screwed because I can't see where I'm going.
So it goes back to green and shifts it. It's all muddy. You can't see what he's going. I guess that's the most critical part when he's grabbing the gears, and you really got to hold on to that thing tight. He just doesn't have the vision.
You know, he got mud on it, and he needs a lot of water to get that mud off that windshield.
Yeah, he's just got to have a lot of rain on it. Here they go. This should wash it off right here.
So as we're back to green flag racing, there goes Marcus Ambrose. What a familiar sight this has been. Oh, and look at behind in the battle for third. Listen to the Canadian fans. That's Carpentier in the 9. He's on the outside of the 40 of Pruitt. Oh, and he loses it there. Just a little too slick for him. He'll fall back in. So let's reset. It is Marcus Ambrose in front of Jacques Villeneuve. Scott Pruitt is now third. Patrick Carpentier is fourth. Carl Edwards has moved up to fifth around Andrew Ranger. And Carl's getting it sideways.
He's got a great feel for a race car. He's checking these tires. He's like, how much grip do I have? And he's on 95 percentile all the time.
I guarantee you he wasn't working the squeegee at that particular moment. The pass for position behind him there is Joey Logano going around Andrew Ranger. So all of a sudden, in less than a lap, Ranger has dropped 2 spots.
Got to give these guys a chance to warm their tires back up and get back in the groove, get the rhythm going, because under caution, the track just got really wet again, so
remember Ron Fellows, the guy who has 12 laps in hand over everybody in front of him? That is Fellows in the 5, zeroing in on the 20 of Joey Logano. That is for 6th position. Fellows may be in the best position of all if this race stays green from here on out.
You know, one thing we have to notice, you know, it looks bright on TV, but it's getting darker and darker here too.
And the rain continues to fall. Carl tiptoeing around the corner. Meanwhile, the battle towards the front. Pruitt holding off the ever-charging number 9 of Patrick Carpentier.
Tell you what, guys, it's wet as it's been all day long. The vision is really bad for the drivers right now. And it's getting dark outside, just like you said. Take a look at him getting down in the corner here.
Marcus Ambrose has already reestablished his 4-second lead. He is going to be...
a lot of fuel for me.
Clear. All clear, buddy. Good job.
All right, so we're getting word that the 25 just came to pit lane. Mike?
Yeah, they were growing more and more frustrated by the lap. Frankie Stoddard wanted to make sure he could disconnect that rear bar, and he may have just got off the race course there a little bit as he struggles through the corner, but they felt like they were at a huge disadvantage, so they brought Boris Said down pit road to make that adjustment and disconnect that rear bar, Marty.
All right, so again, we'll have to see how that strategy plays out as he now comes back out onto the racetrack and the latest to hit pit lane.
Guys, what I was trying to say earlier before we had to caution with Max Pappas, the 32 car of Jacques Villeneuve, he came by with the front sway bar unhooked and the rear sway bar unhooked, so that car has no sway bars whatsoever on it right now.
And I'm doing the calculations with the 40 laps to go. If this stays in a wet condition, I'll tell you what, Horace said could go the distance theoretically if he saves enough fuel.
That's what he said. You heard him say, hey, save me some fuel. So that means he's got to be very easy on the gas. But that's if this thing goes the distance. I'm not sure it's going to go to distance.
Well, as you can see, Marcus Ambrose, he's been getting the back end loose. In second place, it's Jacques Villeneuve as he has closed the gap down a little bit to 2.5 seconds. Then Patrick Carpentier, Scott Pruitt. So Pruitt has dropped back to fourth. And there is Andrew Ranger, who peels off. And Vince, you're there.
Well, Andrew Ranger took on 4 tires, and they, of course, filled it full of fuel. And most importantly, of course, obviously the fuel is incredibly important, but they needed to clean his windshield. They spent a lot of time on the windshield getting it clear for him. He missed a couple of spots, as you noted, Marty, in that previous run, and they wanted to make sure that his vision was not being impaired by the fogging of the windshield and the rain and the heavy dew that has accumulated here on these windshields on these race cars.
Oh, and Andrew Ranger competed with Colin Brown, Frizzell, Wilkins in the 08 Rolex 24. So he has some experience, as we have already pointed out. His days in Champ Car was the youngest ever to finish on the podium in a Champ Car race, that being a second place finish. Meanwhile, I'll tell you what, we were getting ready to say it about Marcus Ambrose. He is going to get the nickname as the Rainmeister of NASCAR.
Take a look at this 32 car. If you look, you can barely, I saw underneath of it on a different shot. You can see the sway bars unhooked. And look how much the car's rolling, Randy. Yep. Rolling a lot to the left, rolling a lot to the right. A lot of body roll. See it right there underneath it. Completely unhooked. So it's what they do in the rain. I've always heard about this. I've never seen it. Made a pit stop and unhooked all the bars. Pretty cool.
And you heard the 59. They didn't do a whole lot at all. You know, so that just tells you that that race team needs to be commended, and Marcus is doing a wonderful job.
All right, we are approaching the halfway mark. The race will be official, but what's the word down in pit lane about going the distance, Jackaroo?
Well, Marty, we should point out NASCAR is mum. They intend to run this race all the way to the end. But if you listen to some of the crew chiefs and the chatter on the radios back and forth between the drivers, and you're not quite sure, is it wishful thinking, or are some teams starting to think that this thing will not go the distance? Randy LaJoie, you touched upon the subject. Just like a lot of crew chiefs in their conversations back and forth with their drivers right now. That means they're going to have to try and make fuel the same way as some of the others, including Boris Said, are trying to right now.
I'll tell you what, these guys pitted on lap, I guess it was lap 10 when he put fuel in it. The guys leading the race, actually. They can go to lap 40 or 42, which is going to be well past halfway. 37 laps is the halfway here at Montreal, so I'm sure they're going to want to get past that in case this thing does get red flagged for some reason. But right now, guys, it just all looks good. Just looks good out there right now. These guys are driving in rain pretty good.
Well, and here's Joey Logano taking a little off-road excursion. And
coming in hot. That's one of the areas that they don't make you stop.
Well, Joey's back out on course and is still in 6th position, as it is Marcus Ambrose still leading by 3.6 seconds over Jacques Villeneuve, and the fellow Canadian Patrick Carpentier in 3rd. Don't go away. This is still far from over. Back here at Montreal, and you're looking at Scott Wimmer. He came in with 39 laps to go. We've just passed the halfway mark, and the team took fuel only, and they think they can go the distance if it stays green. So that's their story. So Wimmer in 25th and trying to work his way back to the front. Let's get you caught up to speed with our Nationwide Insurance Up to Speed report with Vince Welch. You're first.
Well, Marcus Ambrose in the 59 is the leader, and it's been a picture-perfect day for him, if not for the fans and those of us that are outside enduring the elements. Ambrose has had a great car. He's been pulling away, and his crew believes they can make it, obviously, on one more stop, and they're looking to pit at lap 40 and then going the distance. Mike?
The big question in the Jacques Villeneuve camp right now is fuel mileage. Not too long ago, there was a big powwow between representatives from TRD and Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief, trying to figure out just how far they can go. There's no information as to determine whether or not they can go the distance, but they're hoping to come in around lap 46. Meanwhile, Patrick Carpentier, well, he got a little bit of advice from a friend during the last caution period. He had his manager call a friend who has raced here frequently in the rain. That friend gave him some advice on how to take turn 6 and turn 1 a little bit wider when it comes to the rain. Then, of course, there is Scott Pruitt. That team came in here with some very high expectations. So far, they've been running pretty well and expect to compete for this win. The big problem they're facing right now, visibility. Next time down pit road, they're going to adjust the windshield wiper. The blade right now not functioning at all. Meanwhile, Marcus Ambrose, your leader, having trouble.
He has gone off course, and here comes Jacques Villeneuve smelling blood. Ambrose looks like he may actually still hold on to the race lead.
He's been very aggressive. I've been watching him. He's been wheel hopping it, and he's been very aggressive here in the slick weather, that's for sure.
That's his first error of the day. Everything else has been picture perfect for Marcus in the 59. And Villeneuve right there behind him as the gap has narrowed, but boy, Marcos getting right back into rhythm. Let's go back, take another look.
That was right there where Max got into it too, so that's very close. He got into that pavement. I think he stayed in that pavement before he got into the grass.
Somehow still manages to hold on to the race lead. As we said, we've just passed the halfway mark, so this race is official.
Wow.
Down into the hairpin, and look at the crowd. Listen to him.
Last time by, he was 4.5 seconds back. Now he's on his back bumper. Those fans are like, go get him, sucker.
And these two have pulled away from third place, Patrick Carpentier, by 11 seconds.
As you see the brake lights.
10-4, I need 3 more laps.
Okay, somebody on the radio saying I need 3 more laps.
I do believe that was Gary Cogswell.
Now, don't forget that the top 3 are going to have to pit. And that was Marcus's radio, so Gary was giving him the 3-lap cue. But the man in 4th place, Ron Fellows, has a total of 12 laps in hand. And as we pointed out, this race is official, although all intents and purposes, NASCAR wants to go the distance. There's the man that's going to inherit the lead if nothing untoward happens, because the 3 in front of him have to come in soon.
When you look at Boris said, that might be some great strategy. He was about 2 laps earlier than Scott Wimmer pitting. So Boris might be looking good to the end of the second.
Yeah, Boris and Wimmer could also, because you're right, the 5 of Ron Fellows will have to stop for at least a splash. And remember, pit lane speed is 30 miles an hour. But if you get a big enough lead and it stays green, you might be able to get in and get
Absolutely.
out. That's the great thing about road course racing. The strategies that come into play don't always have the number of passes, Rusty, that we are used to in the ovals, but boy, the strategy sure does get interesting.
It really does. And the thing I'm wondering right now, Marty, is this fuel mileage stuff is just all over the place. I don't think any of these teams really know exactly what they're getting because they're running so slow out there. So it's going to be interesting to see what is going to happen for the distance. I just think that these guys are expecting a lot out of their cars, especially Scott Wimmer, thinking he can run almost close to 40 laps. It's going to be incredible. Jack, what about Scott Wimmer?
Well, Rusty, that is going to be the plan for Scott Wimmer. They have made their final pit stop. They did not change tires. They were happy, but they packed it full of fuel. Remember, he's been off sequence for quite some time now. I talked to their crew chief, and he said, we're done, providing something untoward doesn't happen out there.
And Jack, while all that is going on, I've been watching Scott Pruitt. His lap times are sinking. I mean, he is dropping like a stone out there. Remember, the word from pit lane was that Pruitt in the 40 car could not see. And if you can't see your braking point, well, then you've got to back it off, and you can't go as fast. Meanwhile, look at what's happened with Marcus. Makes the mistake, comes back, reopens the lead.
Yeah, he just made one mistake and got back in the groove and got his rhythm back right now, Marty. Looks like he's going to be fine. But, you know, go back talking about Scott Pruitt. That last time by, he was 5 seconds off the pace. So it's got to be vision. We've been hearing a lot of drivers complaining that they just simply can't see. So I'm sure that's what's going on with Scott.
He lost his wiper blade. You can see just the arm sitting up there. He does not have a blade on that, and that would help. He usually needs a blade to clean that water off of that thing.
Look at this battle. This is getting interesting. Patrick Carpentier in the 9 ahead of the 5 of Ron Fellows. And this is for position. 4th on the racetrack is at stake.
You know, Fellows has had those windshield wipers going just steady like that throughout the whole race. He hasn't been complaining about anything whatsoever when it comes to vision. And you got to believe this is just because of experience.
Yes.
We get word that Greg Biffle is pulled into pit lane, Vince.
4 tires and fuel for the Roush machine, and Greg Biffle running in 8th. He's having a good run today. Remember, 20th here a year ago. This will be their last stop going to the end.
So Biffle is good to go. Question will be, do we stay green? Slower traffic, easily maneuvered around by the battle for 4th. Carpentier still ahead of Fellows, but Fellows making a move towards the inside. And we get word Carl Edwards, there he is, coming back out onto the racetrack. So Carl has made his last stop.
And they both made it out right in front of Wimmer.
So that is for position on the racetrack as well. Back to this battle right now. Whoop, little tail happy. And Carpentier signaling out the window. Yeah, I think he's
pitting.
He's telling Fellows, I'm coming into the pits,
yep.
Ronnie.
Because what happens is these guys, you have to slow down so much and you want to late arc this corner. Now that entry to pit road is right there. So these guys, okay, I'm going to get out of your way, go around me, don't run in the back of me.
Nice move by Carpentier. Another nice move by Fellows. So here comes Carpentier, peels off from 3rd for his final stop in this very soggy day at Montreal.
Down your 10. It'll be fuel only, 2 cans. We'll pull the rear bar. We're going to go on the fuel, though. Go on me, Patrick.
As you heard him say, we're going to pull the rear bar. A lot of guys have done that already, and he needs a little bit more forward bite.
Slow as fast on that. Slow as fast.
Hey, Randy, it's got to cost
We'll be fine here.
It's got to cost a lot of time in the pit zone.
Slow it down here. Looking left. Go straight. Put on the brake.
And the team going to work, you can see them diving beneath the race car, disconnecting that rear bar. There was a lot of discussion over the radio between Kirk Almquist and Patrick Carpentier. Not really sure whether they should do it, but that is the way they're going to go. They're also going to take a full load of Sunoco race fuel. We go to Jackaroo.
And my Clint Boyer is on pit road. Expect nothing except changing those outside tires. Now they're going to the inside tires. We take a quick look at them. They look fine. They're going to pack this full of fuel. They know that their teammate Wimmer is off and already has a few laps ahead of him. Boyer is off and away.
And the stop was a little bit longer because the jack man slipped and fell on the way around from the right side to the left side.
They don't have rain sneakers.
Yeah, I started to say that's understandable to slip out here in this pit road as wet as it is right now.
That'll be the next invention by the shoe companies. Rain sneakers. Oh, Randy, I'll tell you. All right, take a look at Patrick Carpentier as he comes back out on the racetrack in 7th position. Let's take another look from the crew cam, and that is Brian Jacobson from Honesdale, Pennsylvania.
They just drug the guy out from under the car.
They really figured out that they could pull the pin on that rear sway bar about the same amount of times it takes to fill it up. Here comes our leader.
Race leader Marcus Ambrose now pulls into pit lane for what will be his final stop. Remember, it is a dredgingly slow 30 miles an hour down pit lane, and Marcus has to go all the way to the Ward's pit out. Vince, you're there.
Well, of course, this is the final pit stop for Marcus Ambrose, filling it full of Sunoco fuel and changing the 4 Goodyear tires. Gary Cogswell on the crew chief talking on the radio, encouraging his crew guys to hit those lug nuts hard. And he was also pleading with Marcus Ambrose to make sure he didn't slide through the box when he came in. He hit his marks perfectly, getting last drop of the Sunoco, and away he goes in the 59.
But again, a little bit slower stop. It's awfully treacherous in pit lane. Here comes Scott Pruitt as he has pulled off from 4th position. And Mike, he's heading your way.
And expect the team to go to work immediately on that windshield wiper. Scott Pruitt cannot see at all. It's fogging up the windshield, and the blade not working whatsoever. And there they are working on the windshield. They'll also take a full fuel load, but no tire change is expected on the 40 car.
And we can also tell you Joey Logano has pulled into pit lane as well, as he was in 5th spot. As there he comes, as and Pruitt losing a lot of time here, up to 21 seconds. In fact, Logano's stop is done, and this has just basically cost them any chance.
Yeah, this is really killing them right now. I mean, 30 seconds, 31. I mean, gosh, there's a lot of guys out there with no windshield wipers at all. I'm not for sure why he had to do this. It looks like more of a problem inside the car. 40-second pit stop. That's just, wow.
And there's the 99 of David Rudiman. Jack, what happened in his pit?
What they call a nominal stop, if you can call any pit stop in the pouring rain. They took on the full 18 gallons of Sunoco fuel. They packed it full, and that was it. He's off and away. Rudiman's back to rooting around.
All right, well, we've got 33 laps remaining. The rain continues to fall. There is Brad Coleman in the 27. They're still working on his windshield wiper as well, and they're having problems up on the left front, trying to get the body damage that they suffered away from the tire.
Yeah, they're trying to get some downforce back to this front end and get it away from that tire, that's for sure. But even though they're going slow and it's raining hard, they need all that grip they can. So if they can get that front end fixed up, get that balance on the left front pulled out, Randy, so they get that thing down on the ground, it's got to help the kid.
You've seen them working in the left rear. I'm sure they also pulled the rear sway bar.
And Jacques Villeneuve, who had assumed the race lead, has now making his pit stop here as we have 32 laps remaining. Oh, no, you aren't going to believe what I'm going to tell you, folks. Marcus Ambrose is getting a speeding ticket. He was too fast coming into pit lane. He's going to have to come back in. And 99, we're being told, David Rudiman.
You got to do a pass-through.
Unbelievable.
Here's Villeneuve's stop. Mike?
And he is one of the few guys electing to change 4 tires. You can understand why. The rain now falling much harder than it had been the last several minutes. It started to come down as a downpour. 4-tire change in fuel for Jacques Villeneuve. Still trying to give the hometown fans here the thrill they've been waiting for. He's been running awfully strong all afternoon. A little bit of a bobble getting off pit road, but they're finally away.
Yeah, 18 seconds compared to some of the 30s and 34s we've seen. That's lightning quick.
That is not a bad pit stop. These crew chiefs just can't get around the car fast because of no grip with their tennis shoes. And so that's a pretty good stop for him. You see Joey Logano coming out right behind him here.
So we'll have to wait to see how it all cycles through. But remember, we told you who would be the big beneficiary on this round of pit stops? Ron Fellows. Yes, he is your race leader right now. And Joey Logano wants a piece of the 32. All right, let's go back and show you what happened with Marcus Ambrose coming into pit lane.
Trying to slow it down. You can see he's got the tires locked up.
Rear tires completely stopped. I mean, that's...
He couldn't get it done.
Hey, a rule's a rule, but under those conditions, you'd think there'd be a little bit of a break, but
well,
understand it.
He is going to have to do a pass-through. There is Scott Wimmer right ahead of Scott Pruitt. Now, remember, they have both made their final pit stops. And right now, it is a battle for 15th and 16th on the racetrack. That's how much track position Pruitt has lost.
And guys, this is as hard as it's rained all day long. You see Stanton Barrett around. That's entering turn that's Exeter turn 14, actually. Come to the start-finish line.
He's got experience doing that. That's the second time.
And now we're being told the 59 was too fast both entering and exiting pit lane. So
they're backing up now to 1 minute 34 seconds. This is actually the slowest they've been all day long, guys, since when they started this race. So heavy, heavy rain out there at the moment.
And notice Joey Logano has gotten around Jacques Villeneuve. You talk about a confidence builder. He just passed an F1 champion. Take a look at this coming down pit lane as Ambrose is coming through for his pit lane violation. He's trying to get around the 52.
He's going to get another one if you don't be careful.
I'm wondering if he knows it's 30 miles an hour. I think they would remind him by now.
Well, it actually looked like the 52 car, Scott Gaylord, was barely moving their guys, and Marcus is trying to get around him and just couldn't get it done. He's like, get out of the way.
Vince, what's going on in the pit?
Gary Cogswell, the crew chief on the 59. It looked as though Marcus was trying to slow down as he was coming on the pit lane. We saw the tires locking up. But was he? How far over was he? Did they say?
I don't know. The pit road speed limit, it's really a good rule. It's really good for all the crew members. It's just pretty frustrating to have ourselves in that position, and have that kind of penalty. Pretty adverse conditions, a lot going on. And, I wasn't running the stopwatch or the radar gun, so I can't say if he's speeding or not, but it's their call, so we're stuck with the penalty.
Gary Cogswell certainly taking the high road on that one, guys.
Yeah, he is. And another guy taking the high road is the number 5 car right there from JR Motorsports, Ron Fellows. Remember we told you that pit stop would have dividends if it stayed green? So far it is working. Fellows leads by 42 seconds as everybody else has pitted, but he is still out there running strong. But will he make it to the end? We think he's definitely going to have to stop again, even though it is raining, and they're getting better fuel mileage. Well, as we look at Jacques Villeneuve with a very stuffed front end, we're trying to check on what happened to him, and Mike, he can't see.
Yeah, and that seems to be the problem, and apparently they can't communicate either. Mike Hillman Jr. still unable to get in contact with his driver, but do you have any idea what might have just occurred?
He's trying to talk to me right now, so we'll be quick, but he said earlier that when you got within 10 feet of him, he couldn't see him, so, he's done a heck of a job, and I'm really proud of everybody working on this Braun Toyota Camry. We had a shot for this thing. We'll look and see what we got and try to finish out. We can hope to bring Jock a win in his hometown.
Obviously a heartbreaking, very disappointing situation here for the 32 team. Marty?
We don't have video of it, but the word we got from outside on the track was that one of the cars checked up, he couldn't see, and that might be the car that ended up getting the other end of this deal.
That's a pretty good indication, I'd say, right there, because, boy, Jacques really hit him hard, and it almost looks like there's oil coming out of the bottom of that 32 car. You see underneath it right there, a whole different color, and might be losing oil right there also.
Do you think that'll slick up the racetrack a little bit?
I think it's as slick as it can get right now.
No, the 20 car, Joey Logano, is into the wall. Wow. So now a great run for Logano. He was running in 4th, and that car is just a mess. And we're under caution. And I'm sure that NASCAR is going to start taking a look at this. Yeah, it is getting dark. It is very wet. And we're now having guys that have a lot of issues under caution. We'll check with NASCAR and all the other issues that are going on. And there goes Patrick on by, and stay with us. We'll try and sort this out. This is unreal. We've had more accidents under caution than we've had under green. Yeah, the day is done for the 32 after the full course caution collision that he had with Alex Garcia in the 98. We also saw the 20. Let's check in first with Mike Massaro, who's caught up with Jacques.
And he's just gotten out of the race car. Jacques, what happened?
Just had oil on the windshield, and without a wiper I couldn't get rid of it, so I just couldn't see a thing.
What were the conditions like out there?
It was just before the last safety car was. It became a little bit slippery, but it was raceable as long as you could see where you were going.
You're not the only one who's encountered some difficulty over here the last couple of laps. Joey Logano just hit the wall as well. Do you expect we can go back to green flag racing?
Oh, it'd be good. The driving is okay as long as you can get the water off your windshield. So if you have a wiper, you're probably all right.
Well, tough break. Thank you. Disappointed,
Mike, we also saw the end result of Joey Logano up against the wall with Dave Rogers. Dave, you just told me a few moments ago that Joey indicated the conditions were really too bad to be out there. What happened in his incident?
Well, the priority in this sport has to be our drivers, and you had a number of drivers on the radio saying that they can't see, they're hydroplaning under caution, and I don't think that as a series we did a good job of listening to those, and we fell victim. Joey couldn't see, guy just stopped in front of him, and we run into the back of him. He had no warning the guy was going to stop. I'll be first to admit I had a lot of fun today. This is cool. First points race in rain, but when drivers are saying enough is enough, I think we got to heed that caution, and we did not today.
Good run for Joey Logano coming to an end, one lap too late for the red in that situation, guys.
Yes, we have gone red here for the second time, and NASCAR's put all the cars on pit lane. And Logano was in fourth when the crash occurred. We're going to step aside one more time, and Jacques Villeneuve is out of the race, and I think a lot of those are Jacques fans as they are heading for the exits here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Stay with us. We'll get the word from NASCAR as soon as we can, and we'll pass it on. And the rain continues to pour here as you see the fans filing out by the biosphere, walking across the bridge back to the mainland. And let's take a look at the way they stand right now under the second red flag for heavy rain, with 48 of 78.4 official laps in the books. Ron Fellows ahead of Patrick Carpentier. Marcus Ambrose, the leader of most laps today, is third. And notice that Carl Edwards is in sixth right now, and Clint Boyer is in ninth. And you're saying, wait a minute, where is Mr. Keselowski in the points chase championship? Well, he is in 12th, and you'll see him in the second page. And let's quickly check in with Mike Massaro.
And catching up with Ron Fellows, your race leader, as you sit here under the red flag condition. You are the guy leading this field. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, the problem right now is there's so much flooding and any kind of traffic you can't see or accelerate. You know, the puddles are just so bad right now. I don't know how we'll ever race in this stuff now.
What has it been like out there in terms of competitiveness? How competitive has it been?
It's been a lot of fun. It's been we've had a decent day all day with the Chevy, and I think, you know, the difficulty now is the heavy rain has created so much puddles. It's just dangerous.
And one thing, Marty, that Ron was telling me about before they came, you can take a look at his visor. It's all steamed up. Having a very difficult time seeing here, Vince.
Well, Mike, Patrick Carpentier sitting in second, but sitting in the car. And I'll tell you, as I look through here, I can't imagine driving a race car with this lack of vision. I guess, Patrick, how much has the windshield wiper helped you? Because what I see through this window looked like it'd be pretty tough to drive any car, much less a race car.
Yeah, you know, it really helps. What I was doing is I was turning it on in the low-speed corners, and off down the straightaway it would stick up and then stay there. So couldn't really use it, but we could see straight. But when I'm turning right, I can't see the right side because it's too foggy. So, and at the end, I couldn't see through the back window, so it was getting pretty hard there. Very, very low visibility. I don't think people have any idea of how low visibility this thing is. So it was a good thing to stop it. I'm not happy because I think we could win the race, but it's a safer way to go.
The right thing to do, according to Patrick Carpentier. Marty?
Ah, yes. Could Patrick finish one spot short as the fans continue to head for the exits? If they did restart it, a lot of them would be cheering for Carpentier to get around Fellows, but we'll have to wait to see if that happens.
The rain continues here in Montreal under a red flag condition for the Nationwide Series, but stay with us because coming up next will be the X Games, and it will be sunny there. Sitting out here in the rain with Boris Said and with Carl Edwards, who I don't have enough common sense to come in out of the rain, but you guys should. First of all, Boris, tell me about the conditions out there.
Well, I mean, I think it was a pretty cool experiment NASCAR did. I mean, it was a blast out there, but unfortunately now it's just raining so hard and there's so much standing water, because if we're at Watkins Glen or somewhere, I think we'd be all right, but on these street courses, you know, the walls hold the water in. But it's a lot of fun, and I feel really good about my Advanced Auto Parts car and Noker Energy Drink and Smithfield Foods. We're having a blast out there in our Ford Fusion.
You know, when guys make history, fellas, they got it as soon as they get out of the car. What they want to do is compare notes. We've got Clint Boyer over here. We've got everybody coming in. Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards, and you guys are all kibitzing. You made history. You've been running in the rain. What are you thinking? Nice squeegee, by the way.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm trying to get Clint to tell me what he's doing. He's fast right now, but we're having fun. I mean, you know, it's not good to see guys wrecking under yellow, but man, if it'll just kind of quit pouring a little bit, it's really pretty fun to do. I'd give anything for a pair of... Oh, it's over? They just said it's over. All right, so it was a great race, a lot of fun, and see y'all next week.
Boy, that's the way to break the news, huh, fellas?
Well, take a look as the 5-car has been told. In fact, they got the word before we got the word. So congratulations are going to go to Ron Fellows and the number 5 team as he picks up his 4th career Nationwide Series win, the other 3 at Watkins Glen. We'll talk to him right here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve when we return in a very soggy but a very happy day for Ron Fellows. Stay with us. Back here at a very soggy Montreal, where the race has been officially called with 26 laps remaining. So the historic day ends under a red flag situation. Let's quickly go to Jack Arute.
Well, Marty, Marcus Ambrose and I made a long walk down the end of pit road because you wanted to check on one thing.
I mean, I just wanted to see where the pit exit was. You know, I just couldn't see a thing. I cleared the end of pit lane. I saw the flashing lights. I went, and I think there's like 20 feet difference or so. So, you know, we've dominated the race twice here in 2 years and haven't closed the deal. So I'm just bitterly disappointed. You know, I feel a little robbed. You know, we dominated today's race. What can you say?
Well, when you dominate like that, what is the feeling when you don't have it pay off in the end?
Well, it doesn't feel too good, I'll tell you that. Just heart-wrenching, you know, for STP and Kingsford and JTG Doherty Racing, who have committed to me. And, you know, I just feel a little jinx right now. You know, I've come close to winning a lot of races now, and I just can't seem to close the deal for whatever reason. And, you know, I'll take the blame. If I sped down pit lane, I sped. I just didn't see the end of pit lane.
Marty, you walked all the way up here just to see, just 20 feet short.
Well, and he was caught speeding both going in, because we saw him sliding as he was trying to get into a stop, and also on the way out. So a tough break for him as he led the most laps, 27. Second best was Scott Pruitt with 13. Take a look at the unofficial results across the top of your screen, and now we'll go into our temporary victory lane with Mike Massaro.
And Ron Fellows just getting his composure right now, gathering his thoughts. He's a winner again in the Nationwide Series for the fourth time. You can see the emotion on his face. This is a track where he has wanted to win his entire career. Gilles Villeneuve was his hero. He's finally won here. Fellows climbing from the car right now, and what a wild day. How would you describe it?
That is difficult. I mean, it's, you know, we've had a little bit of that in over in France with the Corvette in Le Mans, but first, you know, Dale Jr., thank you, GoDaddy.com Chevrolet, and the fans here. They stuck it out the whole time. That's just amazing. These guys are great. This was good fun. Now I got to try to beg Dale Jr. to let me run next week.
You told me earlier in the weekend you used to come here as a fan, as an impressionable young race car driver. What's it mean for you to win here?
Well, to win, you know, Gilles was one of my heroes, and I didn't wear the T-shirt during the race just out of respect for Jacques, but I got it back in the hauler. This is incredible. I'm going to lose it. Honey, get over it. Yes, get over here. We're gonna how many more of these we're gonna have.
He's calling for his wife and family to come in this celebration. And obviously a lot of emotion here in Victory Lane, Marty.
And I think this is a celebration that is going to go a long time into the night. As we take you Saturday, 2:30 Eastern on ABC for the NASCAR Nationwide Series next week at Watkins Glen. Don't miss the Sprint Cup Series at Pocono tomorrow at 1 p.m. on ESPN. And coming up next, it's X Games 14 from Los Angeles. For our entire ESPN crew, for Rusty Wallace, Randy LaJoy, Mike Massaro, Jack Arute, and Vince Welch, I am Marty Reed. Thank you so much for joining us on this historic day as we congratulate Ron Fellows on his win here at Montreal. Till we meet again.